Hi, I'm A.G. Howard, author of the Splintered series. Splintered is a gothic Alice in Wonderland spin-off with a major creep factor and some romance. I'm honored to be asked to take part in the Texas Spirit reading program. I actually used to work at a library myself when I was writing Splintered. I actually got the idea there and wrote most of the story while I was working there. So I have a special place in my heart for students. And I look forward to maybe visiting some of you via Skype or visiting you in person, maybe sometime this coming year. But until then, I have a few questions I'll share with you, the three main questions I get asked and my answers to them. Number one, did I always know I wanted to be a writer? I really didn't. I'm not one of those people who was writing stories with colors and crayons in kindergarten. I actually didn't come into my own as a writer until later on in life. But I always liked to tell stories. As a matter of fact, I used to tell stories so well that when I started babysitting, like as a 13-year-old, I would take little felt boards and little magazine clippings that I'd cut out and tell stories with them to the kids. And the kids were always like, "Ooh, we want her to babysit again." So I made some pretty good money those summers when I was babysitting by using my storytelling abilities, and I guess that was sort of foreshadowing of things to come. The second question I get asked a lot is, do you have anything special you do to get into the mindset of your stories? And yes, I actually am a very visual writer, and so I like to get pictures. I go on Google, online, and I'll get lots and lots of pictures. And like when I was writing Splintered, I Googled Gothic Alice in Wonderland or Gothic Alice, and I came up with all kinds of cool pictures that inspired characters, settings, scenes for me. And a lot of those are actually in my Pinterest boards online that you can look at anytime you want. I also like music. I love to listen to music. And for every book I've ever written, I have a playlist. And now that I've actually been published, I have those playlists on my website to share with you guys. And I even have like little lines written per song about like maybe what scene this inspired or what mood it was inspiring when I was listening to that song. So the other thing I do is I have a research document for every book I've ever written, and it usually ends up 50-something pages long, but it's dialogues I come up with in my head, little scene ideas that I have, character arcs. This is all of this stuff, and I'm not exactly organized about it, but for me it works, and it's organized for me. And so that I go in that and I use that a lot as I'm writing, and it will get me in the right mindset to write. The very last question I get asked a lot is, how did you come up with the idea for Splintered? And the way I came up with the Splintered idea is I was watching the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movie, and the Disney one, and it was so good, it was so vivid, and the cinematography was like ultraviolet and psychedelic, and it just really pulled me in. And when the movie was over, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay in that world, and I thought, I want to make a world like that. And I wanted to be tied to Alice in Wonderland. I wanted to do like a modern day Alice in Wonderland, because all the ones I've ever seen are Victorian, set in the Victorian era, so I wanted to do a modern day. And I thought, well, how am I going to tie this all together? I happened to come upon a book called Alice I Have Been, and it is an alternate historical fiction where someone wrote about Alice Little. Alice Little is the actual Alice that was a family friend of Lewis Carroll, who inspired his stories. And so I thought, well, I'm going to take her, and I'm going to have my girl descended from her. She's going to be her great-great-great-granddaughter, and come to find out that Wonderland is real, and their whole family, their whole lineage is cursed because Alice went there and messed up Wonderland. So all of her descendants since then, all of her female descendants, have been able to hear bugs and hear flowers talking, and they get stuck in an asylum. And so in order to outrun that same ending for herself, my girl, Alyssa Gardner, has to fix all of those mistakes. So she has to go back to Wonderland, but it just happens to be a lot creepier than Carol ever let on. So that's how I came up with the idea for it, and I hope that you'll get to read it one day soon, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope I get to talk with you again. Thank you for listening, and see you on the other side of the looking glass.